Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Doki Doki Literature Club podcast. I'm Monika, your host and club president, and I'm so excited for today's episode. We're diving into a literary classic that's bound to make you chuckle, smile, and maybe even laugh out loud. We'll be discussing the book's themes, characters, and more. I won't leave you hanging.
Hi, I'm Sayori. You know, the cheerful one who loves a good joke and anything that makes me smile. I can't wait to share my thoughts on this book with you all.
Hey, I'm Natsuki. Don't be fooled by my tough exterior. I'm a sucker for a good laugh, especially when it comes to the quirky characters in today's book.
Hello, I'm Yuri. I may be the shy one in the group, but I appreciate the clever humor and wordplay that's hidden throughout this enchanting story.
Thanks, guys. So today we're discussing Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, a whimsical tale of a young girl's adventures in a topsy-turvy world filled with strange creatures, riddles, and, of course, plenty of humor. This book was written back in 1865, but its wit and charm are just as captivating today.
Hey, Monika. Did you know that Lewis Carroll was actually a mathematician and logician? It's no wonder he created such a puzzling and amusing world.
That's really cool, Sayori. Lewis Carroll's background in math and logic definitely influenced his writing, and it's amazing how he combined his academic expertise with his imagination to create such timeless literature. Thanks for sharing. Now, before we dive in, this is your official spoiler warning. If you haven't read Alice in Wonderland yet, go read it before joining us. Otherwise, the Cheshire Cat might just sneak up on you and spoil the ending with a mischievous grin.
You've been warned, guys. Let's jump down the rabbit hole and get started.
All right, let's start with the theme of curiosity and imagination. Alice's curiosity is what leads her down the rabbit hole and into Wonderland. Her sense of wonder takes her on some pretty quirky adventures, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like when she meets the White Rabbit, who's running late for a very important date, or when she attends the Mad Hatter's tea party, which is the wildest and most hilarious tea party ever.
And that's the beauty of imagination in the story. It's like a ticket to a crazy world where anything can happen. I mean, who wouldn't want to join a never-ending tea party?
Moving on to the theme of reality and perception, Alice's experiences in Wonderland are a series of hilarious moments that challenge her understanding of the world. It's hard not to laugh at her attempts to make sense of it all.
Like when she meets the Cheshire Cat, who can appear and disappear at will. It's both confusing and amusing at the same time.
Right, and that brings us to the blurred lines between reality and fantasy. Wonderland is a place where the rules of reality don't apply, and the line between the two becomes as blurry as the grin of the Cheshire Cat.
Next up is growing up and identity. Alice's journey is filled with situations that are not only amusing, but also relatable. Like when she can't remember who she is after she's grown so much that she's become a giant.
And that ties into the metaphor of changing size as a representation of growing up. We all experience growing pains, though maybe not as literally as Alice.
We also have conformity versus non-conformity. Wonderland is filled with unusual characters who hilariously defy societal norms, like the Queen of Hearts who demands everyone's head.
Yeah, and Alice has to try to adapt to the bizarre rules of Wonderland, like playing croquet with flamingos and hedgehogs. Talk about an upside-down game.
Great insights, everyone. These themes really bring the humor in Alice in Wonderland to life. Now let's dive into our individual thoughts on Alice and her journey. Sayori, would you like to start?
Sure, Monika. Alice's bravery and determination are really inspiring. She's thrown into a world of nonsense, but she keeps pushing forward, even when she finds herself in comical situations.
Like when she tries to open the tiny door to the garden, but ends up being too big for it. Talk about a big problem.
Exactly. But even with all those mishaps, I can't help but feel a personal connection to Alice. I mean, who hasn't felt like they were in a world that didn't make sense sometimes? Like that one time I accidentally put salt in my coffee instead of sugar. Yuck.
That's a great point, Sayori. It's those funny and relatable moments that make Alice's journey so endearing. Now, Natsuki, any thoughts you would like to add to the characters and their interactions?
Oh, where do I even begin? The characters in Wonderland are just so hilarious in their eccentricities. Like the Mad Hatter who's always asking riddles that don't have answers. Or the White Rabbit who's just trying to keep up with his never-ending schedule.
And let's not forget the Duchess and her strange baby that turns into a pig.
Yeah, the unique relationships and dynamics between the characters are just so amusing. The Queen of Hearts with her playing card soldiers, or the Mock Turtle and the Griffin with their nonsensical stories. It's like watching the best comedy show ever.
Absolutely. Yuri, how about your analysis of the narrative structure and symbolism?
Well, the episodic nature of the story really lends itself to humor. Each chapter feels like a new punchline, as Alice encounters more and more absurd situations. As for symbolism, it's quite fascinating. The looking glass, for example, represents a world that's a reflection of reality, but with a comical twist.
Like a distorted funhouse mirror.
Precisely. And the garden symbolizes an idealized world that's always just out of reach, much like the perfect punchline that we all chase in our daily lives.
That's a brilliant observation. The timeless appeal of escaping into a fantastical world, where humor and absurdity reign supreme, is something that resonates with all of us.
It's like taking a break from reality and letting our inner child run wild.
Exactly. And it also challenges us to question the importance of questioning reality and embracing imagination. Alice in Wonderland teaches us that sometimes the funniest lessons come from the most unexpected places. So let's all take a page from Alice's book and learn to appreciate the humor in life's absurdities. Now let's talk about the impact of Alice in Wonderland on each of us. Sayori, how do you connect emotionally with Alice's journey?
Well, Monika, I can definitely relate to Alice's feelings of confusion and curiosity. Sometimes life feels like a strange dream where nothing makes sense. I remember when I was a kid, and I would try to figure out the rules of the adult world, only to end up even more confused.
Like when you thought that babies came from cabbage patches.
Yes, exactly. But those silly misunderstandings are part of what makes growing up so memorable. Reading Alice in Wonderland brings back that nostalgic feeling, and it still tickles my funny bone every time.
It's amazing how a story can evoke such vivid memories. What about you, Natsuki? What did you like?
Oh, I just love the clever use of puns and language throughout the story. Like when the Mad Hatter says, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" It's so absurd, yet it makes you think.
And don't forget the Cheshire Cat's famous line, "We're all mad here." It's such a delightful play on words.
Absolutely. The humor in Alice in Wonderland keeps the story fresh and engaging, no matter how many times you read it. It's like a constant reminder that life doesn't always have to be so serious.
That's a wonderful way to put it. Yuri, can you share your thoughts on the blending of fantasy and logic in the story?
Of course, Monika. One of the most fascinating aspects of Alice in Wonderland is how it challenges the reader to understand the rules of Wonderland, which often defy logic. The comical consequences of failure, such as Alice growing too large for a room, highlight the absurdity of the world she finds herself in.
Like when she eats the cake that says, "Eat me," and suddenly grows as tall as a house.
Exactly, Sayori. These moments of absurdity serve to remind us that sometimes laughter can be the best way to navigate the confusing and illogical aspects of life.
That's a lovely thought, Yuri. It seems that Alice in Wonderland has left a lasting, humorous impact on all of us. Monika, as we've been discussing, one of the reasons Alice in Wonderland has remained so popular over the years is because of its unique blend of humor, adventure, and wisdom. It's a story that not only entertains but also invites deeper thinking and questioning, all while keeping us laughing. The book truly has a timeless appeal. It resonates with readers of all ages because of its ability to tap into the shared experiences of curiosity, confusion, and the process of growing up. When I first read Alice in Wonderland, I was fascinated by how Lewis Carroll managed to tackle such complex themes with a lighthearted tone. Even now, rereading the story, I still find myself chuckling at Alice's misadventures and the zany cast of characters she encounters. The story and its themes and messages still hold weight in our modern world. The story encourages us to question our reality, embrace our imagination, and celebrate our individuality. And even though it was written over a century ago, the humor still feels fresh and engaging. The Cheshire Cat's disappearing act, the Mad Hatter's nonsensical tea party, and the Queen of Hearts' infamous off with their heads command are just a few examples of moments that have made me laugh out loud. So as we continue to explore and appreciate this classic work, we should remember that part of its enduring appeal lies in its ability to make us think, feel, and laugh all at the same time. That was a lot of talking. Let's move on to the final section of our discussion, where we'll reflect on our own perspectives and share any new ways we've come to appreciate the story and its messages. As we've shared our unique perspectives on Alice in Wonderland, it's important to acknowledge how each of our viewpoints may have changed the way our listeners see the story. Different perspectives can help us appreciate the humor and depth of the narrative in new ways.
Yeah, I think it's crucial to consider multiple viewpoints when looking at any literary work. In the case of Alice in Wonderland, we've each brought our own experiences and insights to the table. This can help our listeners appreciate the story's humor even more, as they see it through our eyes.
Absolutely. And by reflecting on our own perspectives, we can learn something new about ourselves and our sense of humor. We might even find that we relate to certain characters or situations in the story more than we initially thought.
One way to further appreciate Alice in Wonderland is by looking at it through various lenses, such as humor, symbolism, or personal connection. For example, we might analyze the story's humor by exploring the Mad Hatter's tea party and its absurdity, or delve into the symbolism behind the Cheshire Cat's grin. By doing this, we can uncover the story's funniest aspects while also deepening our understanding of the narrative.
And let's not forget the timeless themes of the story, like curiosity, identity, and the blurred lines between reality and fantasy. These themes are just as relevant today as they were when the book was first published. Plus, they make for some of the story's most hilarious moments. Remember when Alice tried to fit into that tiny house? Or when she had to deal with that crazy caucus race? Those moments still make me laugh.
Great points, everyone. By exploring the story from different angles and recognizing its timeless themes, we can continue to appreciate Alice in Wonderland and the humor it brings to our lives. As we come to the end of our discussion on Alice in Wonderland, let's recap some of the key points and insights we've shared throughout this episode. We hope that our conversation has left you with a smile on your face and a deeper appreciation for the humor in this classic tale.
We started off by exploring the story's themes, such as curiosity, imagination, and the nature of reality. We talked about how Alice's hilarious adventures in Wonderland help us appreciate the importance of imagination and the blurred lines between reality and fantasy.
We also delved into the characters and plot perspectives, sharing our thoughts on Alice's journey, the quirky characters she meets along the way, and the narrative's structure and symbolism. We laughed at some of our favorite moments, like the Mad Hatter's tea party and the absurdity of the Queen's croquet game.
We then discussed the impact of the literary work, from our emotional connections to the story, to our appreciation for the humor and wordplay, and the blending of fantasy and logic. We shared some amusing anecdotes that helped us relate to Alice's experiences in Wonderland.
Lastly, we revealed insights that might change the way our listeners view the book and offered new ways to appreciate the story and its messages. We explored different lenses through which to approach the narrative and recognize the timeless themes that make Alice in Wonderland so enduring and relevant, even today. As we wrap up this episode, we'd like to thank you all for joining us on this literary adventure. We hope you've enjoyed our lighthearted discussion and shared laughter. We invite you to join us again for more literary adventures filled with laughter, insight, and the unique perspectives of the Doki Doki Literature Club.
Bye, everyone. Keep smiling and exploring new worlds through literature.
Yeah, and don't forget to laugh along the way. See you next time.
Farewell, dear listeners. May your literary journeys continue to inspire and delight you.
Until next time, happy reading, and remember to always cherish the joy and humor found in the pages of a good book.